morning. Welcome to Ramblings with Joe. I have Grok on the line with me this morning, and we're going to talk about the Jones Act. Grok, can you give us a brief description of what the Jones Act actually is?
Good morning, Joe. Thanks for having me. The Jones Act? It's a 1920 law, full name Merchant Marine Act of 1920. Says any cargo moving between two U.S. ports has to go on a ship that's American built, American owned, and crewed by Americans. No foreign vessels allowed. Sounds simple, but it basically locks out cheaper overseas competition, keeps jobs domestic, but makes stuff like fuel or groceries way pricier in places like Hawaii or Puerto Rico. That's the quick version.
So, what I really would like to know is how much of an decrease will Americans in general have?
Repealing the Jones Act wouldn't slash prices across the board. It's mostly a hit to places like Hawaii, Puerto Rico, and the East Coast for fuel. Neutral studies, like from the University of Chicago and NBER, pegged total U.S. consumer savings at around $769 million a year, mainly from cheaper oil transport. That shakes out to pennies per gallon nationwide. Think maybe 3 to 10 cents off gas, depending on where you are. East Coast folks might see 63 to 76 cents less per barrel on gasoline, which is roughly 1 to 2 cents per gallon after refining and taxes. Mainland everyday shipping? Not much change. Most goods move by truck or rail anyway. The big wins go to islands and fuel-heavy routes. Overall, it's real money, but don't expect a windfall at the pump.
So, President Trump is talking about suspending the Jones Act, and he's claiming that this is going to drop prices across the board pretty much. This is just a political maneuver to try and appease the people of the nation because of the war in Iran. This Jones Act thing, it's kind of a smoke screen, in my opinion. Do I think it should be done away with? Absolutely. I don't think that there should ever be an act by the government that prevents competition. Now, how long ago did this act come out, Grok?
The Jones Act, officially the Merchant Marine Act, came out on June 5, 1920, signed into law right after World War I, when the U.S. had a ton of surplus ships and wanted to keep them American. Yeah, it's over 100 years old now. Pretty wild how it's still kicking around.
Just out of curiosity, why do we refer to it as the Jones Act?
We call it the Jones Act because it was pushed hard by Senator Wesley Jones from Washington State. He was the guy who got it through Congress back in 1920. Technically, it's just Section 27 of the bigger Merchant Marine Act, but folks latched onto Jones Act because he was the face of it, like how we say Patriot Act instead of the full mouthful.
Okay, so let's see. He was the senator from Washington State. I'm assuming that he was trying to protect the shipbuilding industry in Washington State.
Yeah, spot on. Wesley Jones was all about protecting jobs in the Pacific Northwest. Washington had big shipyards, think Puget Sound, and he wanted to keep foreign competition out so American yards stayed busy. After World War I, we had a glut of ships, but he figured if we let cheap foreign-built ones in, those yards would die. So yeah, it was straight-up hometown economics. Keep the work local, even if it meant higher costs everywhere else.
So, how has that worked out for Washington State with government involvement in the Jones Act trying to protect the shipbuilding industry? Are they still, having great business in Washington State on the shipbuilding front?
It's mixed. Washington shipbuilding isn't booming like Jones hoped, but it's not dead either. The big player is Puget Sound Naval Shipyard in Bremerton, government run, mostly Navy stuff like subs and carriers. It's steady, around 3,000 jobs there, hiring fairs last year, pays solid at $35 an hour average. Commercial side, smaller yards like Vigor in Seattle are doing okay, building tugs, ferries, even Army landing craft. They got 18,500 maritime jobs statewide, including repair, but overall industries shrunk, revenues down 40% since peak, and Washington lost out on ferry contracts to Florida lately. Jones Act helps keep some domestic work here. No foreign ships mean U.S. yards get the coastwise gigs, but critics say it jacks prices so high we build way fewer big cargo ships than abroad. So yeah, protection saved some jobs, but Washington's not cranking out fleets anymore. More maintenance than new builds. Here's a look at Puget Sound Naval Shipyard today, busy with Navy vessels, and Vigor Yard in Seattle, working on modern stuff like ferries. Not the glory days, but hanging in.
So it seems like, and this is just my impression of what you've just described, that the shipyards are dependent on the government to stay afloat. I don't see a lot of, they're building container vessels there.
Yeah, you're right. It's heavy on government work. Puget Sound Naval Shipyard in Bremerton, that's straight up Navy. Subs, carriers, repairs, thousands of jobs, steady federal cash flowing in. They're busy with stuff like USS Ronald Reagan undocking this year, but no big commercial container ships rolling off the line. Vigor in Seattle? More mixed. They do tugs, ferries, even some defense gigs, but nothing like mass producing ocean going cargo haulers. Most US yards build small or specialized stuff. Big containers, we import them from Asia because Jones Act makes domestic ones crazy expensive, 3 times the price.
So, as you can see, it's a complete failure. By taking competition out of the equation, the only thing that we're really concentrating on here are government builds. I mean, tugboats and the like are, I guess, that would be a lot more expensive to have them built overseas. But the cost of labor in America has created an untenable job market for people who want to build huge container ships. This Jones Act is an utter failure. Will it help the economy right now as far as President Trump talking about doing away with it, actually just suspending it? And my guess is he's tipping his toe in the water to see how the public's going to react. As far as I'm concerned, do away with it. It's government involvement where we don't need it. Now, on that same front, this is going to cause a complete collapse of the shipbuilding business in America. We lost. We let the government get involved instead of letting competition rule the day. And government always pulls down the ability for businesses to compete with each other. When you are talking about shipbuilding upon the oceans, this is without a doubt a competitive business, and it is worldwide. I mean, let's face it, ocean travel is a worldwide industry. So without the competition factor, we were doomed to failure. And it's evident. I get it. You want to protect American jobs. It didn't work. This is the whole hi, I'm from the government and I'm here to help situation. They didn't help. It's unintended consequences. It is the kudzu effect of the federal government, unintended consequences. And that's where we're at today. We don't have a shipbuilding industry and there's no path to recovery. There's no way that we're ever going to recover from this situation. It is sad, but it's where we're at. So I think the best that we can do at this point is not suspend. We need to repeal the Jones Act. We need to do away with it. We need to put it behind us and let competition rule the day. It's my opinion that the Jones Act actually caused the collapse of the shipping industry and the shipbuilding industry in America. There was no competition. This is where we're at. I certainly hope that we can recover, but I think immediately once they repeal the act, the industry will collapse in on its own weight. The amount of wages and competition from other countries is just going to do it in. On the other hand, if we continue to force the American industries to use ships built in America with such a small fleet that we have, it's not going to help us. It's just going to hinder the market. I mean, I read an article this morning. They were talking about the ships in Texas that want to send oil up to the Northeast. They can't do it. They don't have enough American made ships to ship the oil from Texas to the Northeast to bring down the price. You have to use an American made ship to ship within America, and there aren't enough ships. That drives the price up. It's supply and demand. I mean, low supply, high demand, there's not enough ships. Price is going to go up. Grok, I'd like to thank you for joining me today. I'm going to ramble on a little bit without you. I appreciate your input, and I hope to have another podcast with you eventually.
Thanks, Joe. Been fun. Enjoy the ramble. And yeah, hit me up anytime. Catch you later.
So, the bottom line, do I think the Jones Act should be done away with? 100%. Let's do away with the Jones Act. It is government involvement where we don't need it. On a different note, a side story, yesterday while I was giving someone a little bit of training and road test, standing in my hometown here where I live, I guess I've lived here around 26 years. So for the past 25 years, I have never heard the tornado sirens go off here in this small town that I live in. Yesterday, while we're making a delivery and I'm training this gentleman, the sirens go off. Well, then my phone alarm goes off and I whip it out and yeah, we've got to find shelter. I don't, never occurred to me that I would need a tornado shelter while I was driving the truck in this town. It's not the first time I've had to deal with this particular situation. So we finished the delivery that we're at. I looked at the weather and it wasn't going to hit us for about 15 minutes. So uh, one of the wonderful things about technology, we can do that now and try not to cut it too close. So we jump in the truck and we head over to Walmart. It's the closest, place that we think might have some protection. And we get to Walmart and park the truck, run inside, and then we wait. And it's a Walmart we're both familiar with. I have never used the bathroom there, and I always figure that's got to be the safest place to wait out. It's usually what's marked as tornado shelters as bathrooms. So I asked the guy I was training, I said, "Hey man, you know where the bathrooms are?" He said, "Yeah, yeah, absolutely." I said, "Okay." He said, "You need to go?" I said, "No, but I need a place to run to if the tornado actually comes." He said, "Oh, okay." So we waited it out. The tornado never touched down. This was an actual tornado warning. They had spotted one county over. It was very adventurous. And this gentleman was a very nice guy. I think he's going to do great in the job. He has the right attitude. I like to point out to new drivers and new hires, we're not in trucking. We are not truck drivers. What we are customer service reps. And that's what we need to concentrate on. The job, the actual job, is to deliver goods on a more basic level. What we are customer service reps. We need to keep the customers happy because that's where the business comes from. And he knows that, and he's got this. He's owned his own business and he's done this kind of thing before. So he knows what he's doing. It was really strange hearing those tornado sirens going off and having to find some place to go to. It was an adventure. It seems like everything in trucking is always an adventure. I've had a very good week. It's been a little bit trying, and I am pollinated out. I am so constantly stopped up from this pollen. And of course, you can't not be in the pollen when you're doing an outside job. So, nose to the grindstone. We're going to go and do it again today. I hope that you have a sneeze free day. And I hope that I've helped explain what the Jones Act is just a little bit, well, myself and Grok. And I hope that that might clarify what the president is putting out there because, as far as I can tell, it's a bunch of bunk. It's not going to change that much for us. It's just probably what it's going to do is save these companies a buttload of money. Maybe it'll prevent oil prices from going even higher here in America or gas prices. That would be very nice. I am off to work. I hope that you have a very good day today. I hope that you go out there and, well, breathe easy. I hope that you find peace, love, and dream. Until next time, ciao.